October 21st, 2013 was an exciting day in the life of Rockingham Historic Site near Kingston, because on that day a restored 18th century Dutch barn arrived, in pieces, on the back of a flatbed truck. The barn is from the 10-mile run area of Franklin Township, near Middlebush, and was in storage for 14 years. A local barn company has restored, labeled, and organized all the old timbers, adding new wood where necessary. During the next few weeks, this company will also be raising the barn. The entire barn has been constructed through the age-old system of mortise and tenon, with wooden pegs holding the joined parts in place. A mortise is a carved opening in a timber, and a tenon, as here, is an extension of a timber that fits into a mortise, creating a tight join of the two pieces. In the course of this first morning, each timber will be lifted from the truck and taken by forklift to specific areas near the barn's new concrete foundation pad, where they will be fitted together, or framed, into the 5 wooden H-shaped structures, called bents, that form the central arcade of the barn. The 2 vertical legs of the H are called arcade posts, and the center horizontal timber between the posts is called the anchor beam, which you see being lowered into place. This massive beam extends its 2 tenons through and beyond the 2 arcade post mortises and is held in place with wedges on its outer extensions. This extended and wedged tenon is unique to the Dutch barn. Here you can see the row of mortises carved into this anchor beam, which is part of the exit wall frame. The timbers are placed on wood supports, not flat on the ground. This protects them from the ground, but also makes it easier to handle the ropes and ties, and to maneuver the timbers during the framing. Let's take a look at the partially framed bent for the entrance wall. You can see the large anchor bent, the central horizontal beam of the H, already in place, with its tenon extending beyond the vertical arcade post. The upper part of the H is set to be framed, with the tenon of the upper beam ready to fit into the mortise of the arcade post. This tenon will be flush with the post on its outer side. The holes you see will line up and be pegged all the way through, which will maintain the stability of the join. It's farther along in the afternoon now, and the entrance bent has been almost fully assembled. But we can watch a bit of framing in progress on the far side of the pad, with its opposite number, the exit bent. In a Dutch barn, the entrance and exit doors are on the short or gable ends and not on the long sides, as with an English barn. So here, the crew is adding studs between the 2 horizontal beams to support the exterior siding that will be installed across the face of this exit wall after the barn is completed. You'll note that some studs are new wood and some are old. The old wood studs are original to the barn and will be placed exactly where the first builders had installed them. Jeff in the orange hard hat and Joe in the blue cap do the fitting, while Alex, the project manager, does the tipping out of the upper beam. Now the second arcade post is brought into place to be joined with the anchor beam and upper beam and with the diagonal corner braces. Jeff and Dale are setting up the wood supports for this vertical post to rest on. Let's watch the upper corner being framed. And Dale wields the mallet. It's the end of the afternoon, and the exit wall bent is framed, but not yet wedged or pegged. By midweek, all the bents are fully framed, as the exit bent is here, with additional diagonals, and held tightly together with tension straps. The entrance bent now has its studs to support its eventual exterior siding. And next to it is one of the three interior bents, which do not need these studs. There are two more identical framed interior bents waiting on the foundation pad. Let's look at some examples of the extended and wedged tenon that is unique to the Dutch barn. These help keep the arcade posts from buckling under the weight of the roof. The more commonly seen shorter tenon sits flush with the post. Pegs that face the exterior are hammered or sawn flush with their timbers, but interior pegs are left visible. Pegs are also called trunnels or tree nails. Here you can see a freshly sawn off bit of peg lying on the ground. Old wooden construction is known for its marriage marks, which are Roman numerals chiseled into the wood by the original builders to show where two timbers should meet. And when you touch one of these marriage marks, you are truly touching hands with the past, and with that colonial builder of so long ago. The site is a busy workplace, and today's builders make use of today's tools, such as for drilling peg holes or for trimming. But measuring and planning just need a pencil and a ruler. It's the end of the day, so time to pack up, in preparation for the great barn raising to come. It's Friday morning, and the barn raising has begun. The work crew is larger because many hands are needed, even with the crane doing the heaviest lifting. The first bent to be raised is bent B, the first interior bent, one of the two that were framed on the concrete pad. This pad will become the floor of the barn, also called the threshing floor, because traditionally hay would be unloaded and threshed there. Please be aware that the speed of the actual raisings has been increased slightly in editing, which may affect your screen background image. You'll note that the passage of the bent is guided and controlled by ropes attached to the tops and middles of the arcade posts. These ropes are also used to manipulate and position the bent as it moves into place. Alex wears white gloves during this process so that his guiding hand signals can easily be seen. The entrance wall bent, bent A, is the next to be raised, up from the grass on the far side of the pad. We looked closely at this bent earlier in the week. It will be placed in front of bent B, although from our view it seems to be in back. A lot of work goes on between the raisings, such as measuring, squaring, stabilizing, and includes the installation of side rails between each bent on both sides. Let's watch the first side rail being fitted between bents A and B. The arcade post is tipped out by pulling on the ropes. The two bents are then stabilized in place through tightening tension straps. Even a structure of only 2 H-frames makes an impressive picture. Temporary diagonal braces are also installed after each bent is standing. Now, bent C, the central interior bent, is raised from the pad. Note the force exerted by the rope handlers as the bent is brought to a standing position and straightened. The third and final interior bent, bent D, is raised from its place on the grass. And brought carefully into position. And now the final bent, bent E, the back wall, is raised. We watch this bent being framed on the first day. And now, like the others, it is taking its place in the 5-bent arcade. Note how the ropes are used to manipulate and straighten the bent from the top. Now for the final side rail. Dale fits one end, and then Rick works with Alex and the rope handlers to edge the other end into the post. Then a final tightening to keep it in place. Alex steadies the base, then uses the level to check that the line of the post is plumb. and Dale does some adjusting via the ropes. The raising is complete, but the day is not over. The crew is already setting up the catwalks needed for installing the first of the 2 purlin plates, which will go across the tops of the 5 arcade posts on both sides. These plates will stabilize the structure, and they will also bear the main weight of the roof. The purlin plate is ready to be lowered onto the arcade posts and the corner braces installed between each post. All the timbers have aged separately during the long years of storage, so fitting them back together can be a challenge. Alex and Dale are on the catwalk, and Bob, Jason, and Jeff are at the ladders, with Rick handling the end rope from the ground. The process is often called wrestling the purlin plate, and it can take jiggling, jimmying, chiseling, shaking, pounding. But one by one, with patience and perseverance, the posts and braces are fitted in. Elric squares the exit arcade post at its base. And the others take turns with the mallet at the top. The first purlin plate has been installed, and it's time to unhook the crane cable, undo all the support straps, and call it a day. A long, good day. By midweek, The second purlin plate has been installed on the north side, and the first of the two side aisles has been constructed on the south side. The two side aisles are used to house livestock and are very characteristic of Dutch barns. Although only one timber from the original side aisles was found, it provided important clues about how they were constructed. The exterior wall you see is actually framed as two halves, which are then joined together in an overlapping construction. This enabled the first builders to use shorter lengths of wood. The lateral girts of the north side aisle are ready to be fitted into the north exterior wall. Here we see the two halves of the wall, with the new one fully framed on the right, and the single darkened piece of old wood on the left, ready for framing. Its far corner has been reconstructed, but this end, with its carved out middle section, shows how the overlap is built. The carved section will fit under the new wood and around the bit of new tenon you can see here. Now the exterior wall is in place, and the girts are partly installed. The original old wood piece fits with the new and is initially left open for flexibility. But when closed up, the overlapping join is perfectly smooth and tight. Both front and back walls will have large barn doors installed. In traditional Dutch barns, a wagon can enter the front door, unload its hay onto the threshing floor of the central arcade, and then exit the barn directly through the back door. The upper girts are installed by the usual method, sliding the tenon into the mortise, then checking for alignment. And stability. The great Dutch barn structure, based on the basilica plan of central arcade flanked by two side aisles, is now complete. The next couple of weeks will be spent on such necessary tasks as measuring, squaring, and pegging, driving pegs into all those peg holes, and creating and testing individual templates for each of the 34 new rafters that will comprise the roof. And finally, raftering has begun. The roof does not have a ridgepole. Instead, the rafters meet in a perfectly smooth, mitered fork and tongue join, which is then pegged. The weight of each rafter rests on the purlin plate and ends with the side aisle plate. Let's take a closer look at these rafters. All the rafters are notched at their lower ends in order to fit snugly on the side aisle plates. Rafters installed on the north side of the roof are forked on their upper ends in a mitered open mortise. To fit with the tongue-like tenons on the upper ends of the rafters installed on the south side. A perfect fork and tongue join. All the rafters are individually notched near the middle to fit neatly on the rough purlin plates, and they are all temporarily reinforced for protection during installation. Here you can see how that middle notch enables the rafter to fit on the purlin plate, with the lower notch resting on the side aisle plate. It's the final day, with the final rafters ready to go. A set of fork rafters has already been installed on the north side, so we will watch the installation process for a tongue rafter on the south. The rafter is lifted from the ground by forklift, with Alex guiding it into the proper slant for the roof. Dale stands on a scissor lift at the roof ridge, and Jeff is ready by the purlin plate. They carefully guide Bob, managing the forklift, in laying down the rafter accurately. The green strap on the purlin shows him where to aim. Alex and Dale keep it straight, while Jeff adjusts the position of the middle notch on the purlin. After the tongue has settled in the fork, Dale drills a hole for the peg that will secure its position. Then it's time for the next one. Keep your eye on the point of the roof ridge, as Dale uses hand signals to guide Bob in lowering the rafter. And you will see the rafter sink into position. The final shape of the barn is coming into view, with only a few more rafters remaining. Now it's very late in the day, and it's time to install the final rafter. You know the process, so let's just watch our barn-raising crew at work, almost in silhouette. Drilling the last peg hole. Hammering the last peg. and because this is an exterior wall, sawing the peg flush. Then, following an old Dutch and English tradition, Dale nails the flag to the topmost rafter to show the world that the work of raising the barn is done. Over the winter and spring, a cedar shingle roof will be installed over the rafters, then siding, doors, and windows, all made of modern materials designed to look historically accurate. And then the exterior of the original bone structure of this great 18th century Dutch barn will be lost to view. The interior of the barn will be left unfinished, however, so visitors can still admire the intricate construction from the inside and marvel at the skills of the original builders. So enjoy these last exterior views of the Rockingham barn, bringing Franklin Township's colonial past into its present and on into Franklin's future. An 18th century Dutch barn, rescued, restored, rebuilt, and ready for a new life and a new use at Rockingham.